Do you know what my most favorite game of Call of Duty of all time is? I think my most favorite Call of Duty game of all time is Call of Duty Vanguard. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Blue Matrix here, and welcome to a tier list video. So this is going to be something a little different. It's just kind of something to have fun with. So anyway, for this one, we're going to be tiering the Call of Duty games from best to worst. Okay, so I've already thrown the first 3 CODs to the never played. I've already done that. But yeah, because I never played the first 3 games. Now, maybe the demo of the second game, but that's really about it. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this one. If you do, be sure to show some love. Hit the like button down below. Also, if you're at all new to my channel by any means, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications and become a part of the notification squad. So I've already set an order of the games from oldest to newest. Well, as of when the tier list has been made. As of right now, the oldest, the newest in this list is Modern Warfare reboots. But anyway, but I will tell my personal opinions on the last 2 as of now. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the first one, COD 4. I like its campaign. I never played the multiplayer. Well, actually, I played a bit of the multiplayer, actually. It was decent. COD 4 has a pretty nice campaign to it. I think it was pretty well made. But however, in my personal perspective, I'm gonna give it a C ranking because I think they would have executed the campaign maybe just a tad. Oh, why did it do that? Because the campaign could have been done a tad better, and maybe if they do a few tweaks to the multiplayer, that would be great. So let's go with World at War. Now, World at War, I love it. It was the first COD to ever feature zombies, and I would just say World at War is pretty solid. The campaign, it's a great campaign, but after playing it so many times, I got tired of it. But I'm not gonna let that deduct the rating for anybody that has never played it. So, to be in my honest opinion, for this one, it's kind of a hard choosing to be for a C and a B rating. Multiplayer is kind of like the only thing that kind of held it down from going to a B maybe. But as for campaign, I'm gonna go with a C ranking. But however, aside from that, I mean, it's still pretty solid. It's kind of in between C and B, but I'm gonna let that be an exception because the multiplayer kind of held it down. So Modern Warfare 2, well, for sure did a better job than COD 4. COD 4, it had a great campaign. Modern Warfare 2 for sure had a better campaign, for darn sure. And well, let's just say, I think it was this game. Yeah, it was this game that had that museum mission. I think the side mission, it was kind of awesome. So for this, it is also one of the most iconic ones. I wouldn't say in my personal preference it'd be an A, but I will definitely give it a B. It is an improvement of COD 4 for sure. So now we're on Black Ops 1, my first ever Call of Duty game I have ever owned. And well, let's just say it was a tough pick for it too. So I would say I'll give it a B ranking. The B ranking. So yeah, it had an awesome campaign. You know what? Hold on. Let me think. The campaign was, I love it. It was my favorite campaign. Zombies made my childhood. You know what? And the multiplayer, well, multiplayer is decent. I mean, it was decent. So, you know what? I'm going to bump this up to an A. I think it's worth that tier. So now we are now finally on Modern Warfare 3, which is my very first COD I've ever played. My very first one. I love its campaign. I thought I had the most fun out of the campaign, though it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was that greater than MW2. I think it's tied between the two, to be honest with you, in terms of the campaign. Multiplayer, it's fair enough. but its survival mode was probably the best thing I've played in a Modern Warfare game. So, to be honest, in my honest opinion, I think Modern Warfare 3 gets an A tier, to be honest with you. I mean, it's only held up because the only reason why it's got, the reason why it's above MW2 is because dadgummit, is because of the survival mode. That's what really held it up. So over this, but however, if I were ranking it by campaign alone, then yeah, MW2 would have easily gotten it. So but this is just my honest opinion here. So now we are on Black Ops 2. Oh man, I think we all know where that's going. Best campaign, best zombies, or better zombies, and also had a great multiplayer. I think we all know where that's going. A tier. Ghosts, okay. So this is where things kind of start to slide down a little bit. Ghosts, if I recall correctly, had the worst multiplayer. Had the worst multiplayer, like in terms of amount of perk wise. Maybe if you're playing offline in multiplayer, you'll be having a fair bit of fun. But however, in terms of online, it's ridiculous. Campaign, love the campaign, but it got held down because it was left on a cliffhanger and we would not go back to it. As of right now, we haven't gone back to the campaign. I don't think we'll ever get a sequel for it. And Extinction, it's decent enough, but however, for that, I'm gonna give it a why does it keep freaking jumping me like that? Okay, skip ad. Okay. I don't know why it does. Okay, where was I at? Yeah, it's gonna give it a D ranking. I mean, maybe if they would have tweaked up the multiplayer a little bit, maybe make it standard, and also fixed up the Extinction mode, I think it would have been worth a C tier at the very least. But where it's at, I think it's deserves this spot. Now, what about in terms of Advanced Warfare? To be perfectly honest with you, Advanced Warfare is one of my most fun games I've ever played. And it got the mark just a little bit. So, Advanced Warfare, I love its campaign. Its story was fantastic. I love it. I think Kevin Spacey and everybody else that involved into the campaign, they did a fantastic job. I had the most fun of it, especially with the Exo system. And with the multiplayer, I can understand why a lot of people didn't like it, because it gets so damn tedious with everybody jumping around all over the place and then getting one hit by the melee no matter the spot. Zombies, I actually did love the zombies, really. Not as great as Treyarch, but however, I had fun with it with zombies, particularly DLC 1. To be fair with you, oh yeah, there's also what was it called? It was that knockoff survival mode from MW3. I forgot what it was called. It's not co-op. I forgot the name of it, but however, it was decent enough. They did a little bit of a better job than Ghost, maybe, but however, or maybe just as good. But in my honest opinion, I think it's on the C tier, to be truthful with you. Advanced Warfare did a better job than Ghost, but however, it could have been D tier if they didn't fix the darn pause menu, like you wouldn't pause the game on day one, and they had to later patch that in. So now let's go to Black Ops 3. Well, if the campaign would have been awesome, and if it was solid for their continuity, then it would have been an easy A. But no, the campaign was by far the worst campaign I have ever seen in a Call of Duty game up to date. Yeah, up to date. I have never seen a COD game, a COD campaign this poor. I mean, shoot. I mean, at least with Ghost, I mean, at least it had its own story that we can follow up on. but something we could follow on. But however, BO3, no. I mean, everything that's that made the Call of Duty Black Ops campaigns, all that was just thrown out the door and replaced with something completely different. The only thing that, I mean, and plus there were only like a couple references from the past games, being Raul Menendez from the 2025 drone attacks, and Nova 6, but that's it. I mean, that's all we got. I mean, everything else, but no, it was just completely different. Multiplayer, I think I had the most fun out of its multiplayer, online particularly. I mean, of course, you can't anymore because of hackers. And zombies, I think it's the best zombies ever. Bridging the classic mechanics along with the new gobblegut mechanics. I think it was the best. And plus, there was also 3 or 4 other modes. You got free run, which I think was really cool. I wish they would have added more maps, but free run was really cool, and it gets you to learn the new mechanic system. You also got Dead Ops Arcade 2, which has been on hiatus since Black Ops 1. It was awesome. Let's see here, what else you got? Nightmares, same thing as the campaign. We got freaking false advertised saying that it's not just a campaign with zombies. This is a completely different story and everything. No, it was the campaign with zombies. I mean, we got false advertised on it, so that's done. And shoot, was there one other mode? Nah, I think that covers everything. So if I were to rank this, it kind of hurts me a little bit, but I think I'd give this, it definitely did a better job than Advanced Warfare in terms of all the other side modes, but however, campaign, nah, that's what held it off. But, I wouldn't rank it a B. I mean, the campaign, maybe I would. It's definitely not A tier, definitely not. If it was zombies by itself, it would easily be A tier. But if I were to rank it right now... Oh, yeah, and I also forgot the freaking... I'd say it'd be at C tier, because also it had also poor optimization for the PC port. I think it's credible mention that it would be better to put it on there. So, next up, what do we have is Infinite Warfare. I can't believe years later I'd actually get to say this. I actually love the campaign. I actually like the game, to be honest with you. Okay, let's start with the campaign first. The campaign for Infinite Warfare, I actually liked it a lot better than Black Ops 3. It was a lot better than Black Ops 3's campaign, because at least they were straightforward. And they actually, well, though I kind of didn't like the characters into the game, but the only character I really do like is Ethan, the robot. But however... he had more characters out of anyone else, and he's a freaking robot. So, but I actually liked the campaign. It was something I followed on, and it actually got me to enjoy doing the side missions. I actually love doing the side missions, really, in this one. In fact, I enjoyed it a lot better than Black Ops 2's. We haven't had a side mission the system since Black Ops 2, and I'm glad they actually brought it back here. Multiplayer, I mean, I guess I can give it the same ranking as Black Ops 3, because all it is a carbon copy of Black Ops 3, really. I mean, they copied just about everything in it. Zombies, I've never played the zombies, but from what I've heard, they play about as equal as Black Ops 3. So, in my honest opinion, due to the campaign being much better, I'm going to give it the B tier. To be truthful with you, I mean, it just barely got the mark for that. If the campaign would have been bad, then it would have been on the C tier as well. But however, since the campaign was good and everything else seems to hold out just fine, I think it deserves it, the B tier. Now, next up we have World War II. This is where things kind of start to slide downhill. I thought the campaign for World War II was average. The campaign was average. I did not like the multiplayer at all. And the zombies, I thought it was just not fun. So for it, I would give this... And plus the campaign, I just don't have the feel for any of the characters at all. So for all this, I will give this the D tier. So... now, maybe if they would have tweaked the double... Now, I mean, the graphics were fantastic. The graphics were fantastic. But it could have been better. Black Ops 4. Oh, yeah. Black Ops 4, this is where they crash into a burning dumpster. So, Black Ops 4 gutted the campaign completely. It's like the Black Ops 3 old gen situation on steroids, where there's no campaign at all. And the multiplayer, I mean, though the multiplayer was fine enough, they increased the time to kill. The Blackout, it was fun after a little while. I mean, for a little while, but however, it didn't change much after the beta. And I played the beta, I had the most fun with the beta, but not much changed after that. And as for the zombies, though, it had an awful launch. It had a terrible launch. And I'm looking at this for performance standards. It had an awful launch. It took them a long time to fix up the story and not to fix up the game. And even when the game was not fun, what about the story? No, the story it kind of like crashed itself into there. I don't think. To be truthful with you, I actually started to get into BO4 a little bit. And I only say a little bit because I still have a love-hate relationship with it. I was kind of let down. I was expecting more out of it. But with all its cut content, gutting out our classic perk systems that we all loved. Sorry. And they could have adapted Blackout into Warzone. They could have done that. So to be truthful with you, I think Black Ops 4 deserves the F rating. It could have been a D rating if they would have thrown a campaign in there. It didn't even have to be a bad. It didn't even have to be a good one. It could have been a bad one. It could have at least gave it a D tier. But no, you got that with no campaign. You would have think it would have gotten more maps and functionality at release. Don't you think? Don't you think about that? I'm guessing when they were developing Zombies Chronicles for BO3, I'm guessing when they developed it, I guess it took in some of the time off of development for this game. I don't know. So now we are on the last game before we judge our latest two games that were not on the list. So let's start with Modern Warfare. It was just enough to keep you playing. And Modern Warfare is what kicked off Warzone. But we're not going to talk about Warzone. So, Modern Warfare had a great campaign. It was solid. It's not tied to the classic games by any means. It's its own universe. But the campaign was short. But like 4 hours long. So, it's marked as the shortest campaign in Call of Duty history. Multiplayer, I mean, the gunplay in there's fun. But it didn't take long for people to get bored from it. Okay, let's start with the co-op mode. I didn't play the Spec Ops and the survival. Oh man, I wanted to love it. The gunplay feels fun. It was awesome. I wanted to love it, but I just couldn't. The enemies are so difficult. Like, everybody's having a hard time. I mean, not just me, but every person that I know of is having a hard time getting past Wave 5 if you're on solo. Now, maybe you'll do a decent job if you're playing with multiple people, even strangers if you could, and that's okay. But if you're playing on solo, you're screwed. All right. So for this, I'm gonna give this the D tier. It didn't get the F tier because at least it functioned. At least the game functioned as it should, and it had a campaign. All right, a 4-hour campaign to me is better than 0 hours of campaign. If you get what I'm saying. So there we go. That's everything on this list. So let's start with Cold War. The Cold War, I think it would have been an easy C tier. All right, the reason why it's not a B or an A is because I love the campaign. I was kind of more up. Let's start with the campaign for Cold War. I didn't get the campaign to play as Bell. Alright? I got the game to play as Mason. Okay? and all of a sudden we're just playing with Bell, and I just didn't seem to care about Bell at all. I don't know anything about this guy, except for you learn about him at the end of the game, where he's actually Russian, but he got brainwashed by the CIA, thinking that he was American and been a nom, but that's not the case. And then you got the choice to whether you could betray these guys or just work with them. But either or, the ending, you don't have any clean getaway. You don't have a clean getaway in either ending. So to be honest with you, I think this game, the multiplayer, haven't played the multiplayer, but I think it did a decent job. As for zombies, I think they did a better job than BO4, to be honest with you. They brought back the classic perk systems, kinda. I say kinda because they did kind of alter it a little bit. But for it, I think it deserves a C tier because with that, I mean, at least the C tier, it kind of deserves it. It did a better job with BO4 for sure. And it does kick off its own zombie storyline. And I think that's what we really need. Though it does take part after Ether, but the Dark Ether kind of continues off it a little bit. But it was your choice whether if you want to continue the story or not. And now as for Vanguard, we all know that's an F tier. That Vanguard had an awful release. The game was unfinished. The campaign was not entertaining. The multiplayer was broken. The zombies was also broken too. No Easter egg at release. No ray gun at release. I don't know whether they added it in or not. I doubt they did. First time in zombies history there was no ray gun. No wall weapons. No nothing. No round base. No anything. I mean, so for that, it's in the F tier. So anyway, that's all I gotta say. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you got knowledge off of my personal opinion with this. And if you did, be sure to show some love. Hit that like button down below. Also, if you're at all new to my channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and become a part of the notification squad. Hope you guys enjoy this, and well, I'll see you dudes next time. Peace out, Majorholics.